VC. How y'all doing? So this week for recent vinyl spins, just to lead it off, I happened to watch a couple of fantastic movies this week that got me off on another percussion kick. So the two movies in question are Beware of Mr. Baker and Whiplash. So kind of a good back-to-back movie watching, so to speak. Beware of Mr. Baker is an interesting documentary about Ginger Baker. If you're not familiar with Ginger Baker was the drummer for the rock band Cream, Blind Faith, and also for his own band, Ginger Baker's Air Force. Also played with Fela Kuti in Nigeria for a bit. Very fascinating man, but it's interesting watching the parallels between Beware of Mr. Baker and Whiplash because I wouldn't say the central characters, but the teacher in Whiplash and Baker are kind of dicks. I mean, Ginger Baker is a very talented man, don't get me wrong, but in real life he is just an ass. I mean, just, the people around him, very kind of insecure in a way, but he just treats others like garbage, including his son, which is kind of disappointing. But the documentary was really well done and really got into the good and bad aspects of his life, and it's fascinating watching the movie because he talks about different rock drummers like Keith Moon and John Bonham, which he just totally slams. But he has the utmost respect for jazz drummers, and I was enamored by the drum battle, which some of the records I'm going to show you today, which is one of the reasons that I really grew to like jazz. Is it's something that you don't see in rock, is the cutting session, the drum battle. There's few things here or there, but no, in jazz music in the 50s and the 60s, even in the 40s, you had these cutting sessions, and it was a battle between two musicians. And Ginger Baker, in this case, had some really nice drum offs between folks like Art Blakey, Elvin Jones, and Max Roach. So definitely I recommend watching this just for that aspect and getting his perspective on the drumming, and then switching gears and going into Whiplash, which was again perfect back-to-back in terms of movie watching. J.K. Simmons definitely deserved the supporting actor Oscar he got. He was just fantastic in that film, which again was about jazz drumming. So that film had references to Buddy Rich, and so watching those movies just got me off on this huge percussion kick. So first record I have to show was probably one of the earliest drum battle records. So going to Buddy Rich, this is the drum battle between Gene Krupa and Buddy Rich. This is an original on Verve. These two guys met for the first time in 1952, and it was recorded. There's an early Verve on the black label, and I don't think this record came out until the 60s. But there is only one track where you hear them drum off, and the rest of it is just Gene Krupa's trio, which happened to feature Hank Jones, which is Elvin Jones's brother, a fantastic pianist, who's also played on the famous Blue Note album Something Else, and Willie Smith, saxophonist or alto saxophonist. I gotta tell you though, musically speaking, outside of the drum battle between Buddy Rich and Gene Krupa, this album is really not that great. At least that was my opinion. It just didn't resonate with me. I think in particular Willie Smith. I like Hank Jones, but Hank Jones, the starting track, he's like way off in the distance, you can barely hear him, and then they bring it in. So, but Willie Smith, it's sort of like just one swinging alto player going into bebop and trying to a little hard bop, but yeah, it just didn't work that well for me. Gene Krupa, if you don't know, was in Benny Goodman's band. He played the drum solo on one of the most famous swing band songs, Sing Sing Sing. So you play that song, you hear the drum solo. That's Gene Krupa, and you know that song was actually written by Louis Prima for Benny Goodman. So just a very interesting record. Not highly recommended, but good to hear the drum battle track between the two. They did a couple subsequent albums together, also on Verb, which I'm not familiar with. If I ever come across it, I think I'd probably give it a sample because that one just did not appeal to me. Next one features Buddy Rich as well, and this is Buddy Rich versus Max Roach, and this was a lot more satisfying. It takes the Max Roach band and the Buddy Rich band, and they are given a different channel within a speaker. So I think Max Roach is on the right channel, Buddy Rich on the left channel, and they play through several songs. And you know, in between songs, I mean, these two are having a nice drum off. Musically, it's very, very satisfying. I'm trying to remember who. I think it was Benny Golson that maybe put this session together. But you know, they play some jazz singers, standards, Sing Sing Sing, the Casbah, Limehouse Blues, so some very common jazz tracks, but it's great. I mean, besides the drummers, the two quintets are in sync with one another, so you got that big band flavor, but these two are just trading drum tracks, and you know, it's great to hear the difference between the two and what they contribute. This just happens to be a Japanese pressing, and what I like about the Japanese is they do a pretty good job at replicating some of the original labels, and this thing just plays dead quiet. So very quality Japanese pressing. Very, very pleased with it. I want to say that this pressing was put out in Japan in the 90s. This is a kind of a hard record to come by, but to be quite honest, if you can pick it up on CD, because the CD actually features more outtakes of the songs. So you got different cuts, and I mean, they're a little bit different. And I gotta take it back, so it was not Benny Golson, it was Gigi Grice that actually set up this session. So this is just very satisfying if you can find it, even musically. If you're not into drums, it's a really good jazz album. So the next one I've actually shown before, but I had to dig it out. So this is Gretz Drum Night at Birdland, and it features my favorite drummer, Art Blakey. Has Elvin Jones, Charlie Persip, and Philly Joe Jones. Birdland did have a series of Gretz Drum Nights, I think, every year, and so they brought some of the great drummers in and had them have a drum off. And you had these drum offs like almost on an annual basis, and I got a really good clip here of Elvin Jones, Max Roach, and Art Blakey all drumming together in Copenhagen in 1968, which is just phenomenal. here's the album again, Gretz Drum Night. If you can find it, this is another good one that's really good. I mean, it's just not solely drums. There's a backing band, and they all play different things. And this one I'd like to see. I wish they had this on video, because you really have to know their drumming quite well to know who is playing at one time, at what time. So it's not like the Max Roach, Buddy Rich, where each player has a different, or each band has a different channel, so you can tell who's playing what. But here you really get to know the drummers and their styles to know who is playing. But despite that, this is really a great listen. This one just happens to be on Roulette, and I think it's a Ladder Roulette label, because I'm going to show you another record here, which came out a bit earlier on Roulette, which is really kind of an interesting jazz label. It's not well known, at least as far as I know. It's not on the order of a Verb or Impulse or a Blue Note or a Prestige, but they put out some decent jazz recordings. The next one that I threw on the table was this one, which was Max Roach, and just titled Max. And I love this cover shot. This was done on Argo, which was a subsidiary of Chess Records out of Chicago. And this one, I really like this album because it features a lot of good players. So you got Hank Mobley and Kenny Dorham, Ramsey Lewis, and George Morrow. And this guy is really, really bluesy. So if you like your jazz bluesy, slow placed in parts, this is the one to pick up. And so again, I just love that cover shot. This is another original. I think they did one subsequent repress, but here's a shot of the label. So that's really it for jazz. Well, I take that back. I was going to show you another roulette. So this is one I just happened to score on eBay in an auction, and I was really, really happy to get. So this is Jeri Southern, and if you're not familiar with Jeri Southern, she is a jazz vocalist, not too well known, but she had several fantastic albums. She did manage to make it to Capitol during the latter part of her career, and then I'd say probably in the early 60s she just gave up. She retired from music completely, but she kind of has a smoky, kind of husky voice, which I find kind of appealing, and I love the cover shot and the title of the album, which is Coffee, Cigarettes, and Memories. So definitely a product of its time, which was in the mid-50s. So yeah, this one's on Roulette, and just to show you kind of what the original Roulette label looked like, it's I really like that theme. But I was really happy to score this in an auction. I think I got it for like $7. And this one, you don't see this guy surface too often. There's one out on eBay that's $35, and probably in about the same, at least the cover is in the same condition from what I can tell. And I like Jeri Southern, but I'm not going to pay $35 for a Jeri Southern album. And I think the last thing, no, I got a 7-inch. Sorry, I keep saying it's the last thing, but it's not. So moving off of jazz, so this is Hiiragi Fukuda, and this is on Trouble of Mind Records, which I think is based out of Chicago. This is very lo-fi. I think it was recorded on a cassette recorder using some very simplistic synthesizers, and kind of repetitive, but I also found it very enjoyable, very experimental electronic. Mind Records, they do all their pressings at United, and this one comes out on this lovely green translucent vinyl. So I'll try and include a link down to some of the music so you can get a good sample of what it's like. And the 7-inch single. So this is the last thing I'm going to show you. Not that I endorse it, but I saw an advertisement from DFA for it, and this is Slim Twig's Cannabis 7-inch. So this is DFA put this out, or Slim Twig put this out for Cannabis Day. Interesting holiday, but it's a remake of a Serge Gainsbourg song from a soundtrack that Serge Gainsbourg did in the 70s with his lover Jane Birkin, and it came out before History of the Melody of Nelson, which is probably Serge's most well-known work and probably his best. I just love that album, but this is a very nice tribute to that album, at least the single. Very fuzzed out psychedelic guitar instrumental, just terrific. And so DFA did 200 of these, and just fantastic. It comes with a digital download and nice Cannabis paper sleeve. So there you have it. That's what I've been playing this week. Hope you enjoyed it. Appreciate any comments you have. You got any drum battle records that you can recommend? Rock, jazz, I don't care. I'm very curious to listen to what else is out there. Those are some of the very few that I do have in my collection, but I'm always fascinated by those cutting sessions. So if you have some thoughts, shoot me them, and other than that, have a great week, folks.